Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you. Welcome back to 2024. I hope everybody had a happy and safe New Year. And there's a lot of news, some with the British royal family, some with a different royal family. There's just a lot to cover. Let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. First up, thank you to Kristen Z on Twitter for these pictures. Edo and Princess Beatrice were out for New Year's. Don't they look lovely? Moving on. Next up, we have King Charles and Queen Camilla, who went to church on New Year's Eve day, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Of course, they were at St. Mary's Magdalene Church in Sandringham. They were also there with the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. We know that King Charles and Queen Camilla spent Christmas in Norfolk with the family, and it looks like the whole family is going to stay and everything is going to continue on. All the festivities will continue on through New Year's. Just in case you were unaware, Christmas at the Sandringham Estate, that has been the private home of 4 generations of British monarchs for more than 160 years. Now, they were greeted by the Bishop of Norwich, Reverend Graham Usher, and the rector of the Sandringham Churches, Reverend Canon D. Pole Rise Williams. FYI, as well as the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, the Duke and Duchess of Richmond, and the Queen's sister was also there. Moving on. Now, interesting, Queen Elizabeth used to stay in Norfolk throughout January to mark her accession day. However, King Charles has decided to spend January in Scotland, therefore letting you know that is his new royal tradition. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We know he loves Scotland. Let him go hang out in Scotland. Moving on. Next up, we have Zara Tyndale, who went to the Cheltenham Racecourse. She brought her youngest daughter, Lena, who is 5. She really seemed to enjoy it. And Mia Tyndale, and they were there with their cousins, Savannah and Ilsa Phillips. Now, they were on the balcony. Apparently there was some sort of a race. They looked like they were really getting into it. They were concentrating. They were pointing. They were yelling. They were exciting. Now, Savannah turned 13 last Friday. And of course, the family looked really happy to be out and about. I think we're all aware at this point that Zara is a big equestrian, that she's a big rider, that she was in the Olympics. I mean, we all know this, but it's just very nice that they've passed on their love of racing to their children. And I also love the fact that these cousins are hanging out, getting to know each other and building really sweet bonds, because we've seen it, right? We saw it, once the cousins get good and, 20 years down the road, they'll still be good. Unlike somebody else's children who've probably never met these people and probably never will. Zara looks really nice here. All right, let's move on to our next story. They're putting out that Harry and Meghan are going to keep their children strictly out of the public eye and away from Archewell. Interesting, they had no trouble using them for Archewell audio when they thought it would bring in some clicks. But as this person on Twitter pointed out, nobody's ever seen the elusive kids at public events anyway. The pictures are always blurred or back view shots, or the shots that they give us, are those really their children? Let me explain. This picture was put up on Netflix, and that's supposed to be Harry reading a book to Archie and Lily. That's the idea. You see Archie there with the curly hair and the little one? Yeah, and then supposedly this is Archie that he's playing ball and kicking around with. That is not Archie. Excuse me. That is Eugenie's son, August. This was done, in my opinion, when they were there visiting. Now, here is a closer up shot of August. Keep in mind, he's a little older in this photo, but look at the face. Here you go. And then look at the face again. That was not Archie. That was August that they were using. And in this video that they put up in Netflix, I think, you'll see that Harry tries to hug this kid at some point, and the kid wouldn't hug him, and that's because the kid doesn't know him. That's not Archie. Sorry, that's August. Let's move on to another royal family. For those of you who may not have heard this, Queen Marguerite abdicated her throne after 50 some odd years. I think it was 53 years on the throne. And she's going to let her son, Prince Frederick, ascend with his wife, Mary, who, by the way, in case you are unaware, was born in Australia. She's Australian. She'll be the very first Australian-born queen. The entire family arrived en masse on New Year's because they do an annual New Year's Day banquet. So hours after the Queen gave this speech that nobody was expecting, apparently, the videos online of people going, oh my God, oh my, I mean, they're just shocked that this woman is, stepping down, but she's 83 years old. And so they all showed up for this dinner. Now, people are questioning the timing of this decision because apparently her son has been accused of having an extramarital affair. Now, of course, everybody's denied it, including the woman in question. She's saying that never happened either. The queen who's stepping down underwent back surgery last year, and she basically, what it comes down to is for her health, she needs to, as she said, leave the responsibility to the next generation. Now, the speculation is mounting that this was done to keep Frederick's wife, Mary, on side with it because people just love her. She came over, she became fluent in the Dutch language. 85% of Danes have a positive opinion on her. People love him. I mean, it's just, and for those of you who don't know, they met at a pub in Sydney, Australia, and she didn't know who he was. How sweet. I wonder myself if this didn't happen because of all the controversy of all the money that was spent on Charles's coronation, and in this economy she just wants to do a handover. They're saying that the him coming up is not going to be as elaborate as what Charles had. All right, moving on. All right, let's move on now. I have to cover this because of Andrew. You guys know that, the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. It would appear that former President Bill Clinton is John Doe number 36 in the court documents that are going to be released this week. Oh my goodness. Apparently, allegedly, he's going to be mentioned more than 50 times across the redacted documents. Oh my. Now, they're saying in this article that a lot of the references to him come from Virginia Giuffre's attempts to get him to testify against Ghislaine Maxwell. And they're saying that other mentions are related to attempts by Miss Maxwell and Giuffre to make Epstein come clean in 2016 after he evoked his Fifth Amendment rights when he was deposed in that lawsuit. Now, they're saying that the documents may not implicate President Clinton in any illegal activity. Yeah, I guess we're going to find out very quickly. You really have to wonder what's going to come out in these documents, especially when pictures like this pop up and there's Bill Clinton getting a shoulder massage from one of Epstein's victims, supposedly Miss Davis, at a small airport in Portugal in 2002. It makes you really wonder what's real and what's not. Because as these documents come out, yeah. Okay, now, some other documents came out of the contact list from Jeffrey Epstein. And one of the people on it is Donald Trump. But Donald Trump already admitted that he was going to be on this contact list. Other people who were on this list, are you ready? Tony Blair. There were other people on this list who did not step forward and announce, I'm on this list. And so now you have to wonder why they didn't say, I'm on that list, but this is why I'm on the list, like Trump did. You have to wonder what's really going on. Now, a lot of these records that you're looking at were released back in 2021 during Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, for instance, and some other records. Like, for instance, these flight logs were released, but they were released back in 2015, 2016, and people are going, ooh, look at these flight logs. But actually, they had been out in the public realm for quite some time. Now, we know that there was something wrong when Epstein died. First of all, when he passed away, they moved his body to the infirmary, which is a violation of federal policy. He had been deceased at least 2 hours by the time the EMTs arrived. Somebody had changed his clothes and put him in a hospital gown. Also, just as an FYI, apparently there were cameras on his cell which suddenly didn't work for 2 hours. Little weird stuff going on there. All right, moving on. Meghan and Harry, we know that they're not going to apologize. They've been demanding an apology. But at this point, the royal family is saying, if you want back, you need to apologize, which of course we know will never happen because the two of them seriously still believe that they've done nothing wrong. And then this article came out. My jaw dropped. Meghan wants answers from King Charles. She apparently wrote him a letter, tried to set up a meeting, and wanted to know why she has to follow rules as a former royal. She wants to find out from him about using her royal title. They said that Meghan and Harry don't, quote, understand why they have been subject to different rules to other members of the royal family, even though they've stepped away from their official duties 4 years ago. That's right, you guys. They don't understand. I was like, really? So what started this whole brouhaha this time? Well, here we go. Sarah Ferguson, who's known as Fergie. Yes, she's still the Duchess of York, but she bills herself as Fergie. So Fergie goes on ITV daytime show this morning. She's billing herself as the Duchess of York. She's selling books and she's doing, what, according to Meghan Markle, she's doing all this stuff under the royal family. And they're saying, well, it's different rules for her because they don't see the difference in what they're doing as to what Sarah Ferguson is doing. And that's the part that's so freaking scary to me. Neil Sean did a video, and in his video, he claims that Meghan tried to actually set up a meeting with King Charles. She sent him a letter, and she wanted a one-on-one to explain exactly the problems that she's encountered ever since becoming a member of the monarchy. In other words, she wants to call up Charles and complain some more because gosh knows she hasn't done enough complaining up until now. Unfreaking believable. Is anybody else beginning to sit back and realize that this woman is thick? That she has no introspective capabilities to go, wait a minute, yes, she's on daytime TV, but what she's doing is different from me? I completely agree with Molly's mama on this. Fergie never badmouthed the royal family. She never lied. She never attacked them. She didn't do tell-all books where she slammed the royal family. She didn't give interview after interview where she accused the royal family of horrible things. But Meghan doesn't see the difference. Also, I might just say that Sarah was in a different situation than Meghan. Sarah was like millions of dollars in debt and Andrew was not helping her and she had to come up with money. She's also, by the way, an excellent mother and she respects the royal family, but Meghan doesn't. I think that's the biggest thing. Again, with Molly's mama, Sarah kept her mouth shut. She stayed loyal and she did not air her dirty laundry. I don't think the king should meet with her. I agree. Moving on. All right, next up, I just had to show you this. Meghan's mole put it up because apparently after Fergie's wedding, as they were walking off, Meghan tried to grab King Charles's arm because she thought she should walk with King Charles. Look at this. King Charles was like, All right, I had to touch on this article. They're saying that Harry and Meghan have been called now the Montecito Muffets because they're very quiet over Christmas. And come to find out that Omi Scobie's book has only sold about 40,000 copies worldwide, which they're saying shows how sick people are of Harry and Meghan's constant moaning. There's no question that they contributed to this book. And if they didn't authorize people to speak on their behalf, we know that their friends don't talk without permission. And I think people are just sick of them. So, they've been told to take a break. We know they won't. But, okay, moving on. Next up, I wanted to show you this clip really quickly. You see how Harry moves over and Meghan turns around and turns her back to the Queen? Here it is again. Well, what caught my attention when I looked at this was the Queen's reaction. Look at her face. Meghan turns around and the Queen, look at the face. She's smiling like, oh my. Now, I just want to touch on this article towards the end here. Apparently, Diana had set up her will so that William and Harry had access to everything, money, jewelry, everything that was left to them when they turned 25. However, Diana's mother and Diana's sister went to court and changed it so that they couldn't get anything until they were 30. And everybody's like, that's so not fair. Well, I don't think William was the problem. I think Harry was the problem. I think they knew that he had a drug and alcohol problem, and they didn't want him just pissing his mother's money away. Can you really blame them? Oh, and just as an FYI, you know how the Sugars are screaming that Catherine's ring should have gone to Meghan because it was Harry's ring and he gave it to William? Well, according to the contents of the will, Diana left that ring to William because she knew that he would be ascending to the throne, and she wanted her ring to be on the hand of the Princess of Wales. Well, for those of you who have jumped on my Patreon bandwagon, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video. If you're already subscribed to this channel, double check, make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to leave those comments. I am reading them. If you've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.